What is going on, guys? Zuko back with another Dragonflight video. Hope you're all doing very well. Let's talk about my Ret Paladin and where we've been over the last week or so. I've been just farming Mythic Plus like crazy. Got my rating from like 1800 to 2372 now. We've done quite a few dungeons this week. It's been really good. My immediate TLDR is that this build that I'm running right here is my favorite way to play it so far, and it's really, really strong, and I'm going to explain to you why it's really good in the Mythic Plus stuff that we have been doing. Some really quick highlights of the build before I show you some footage and just talk about it in more depth. The Holy Power generation is insane because of Templar Strikes. I'll get to that in a second. And, of course, Blade of Justice and Judgment generating extra Holy Power because you want to spend your GCDs pressing Templar Strikes. That's really good. 1 Minute Wings is really good. Absolutely loving this thing. Wake of Ashes with Seething Flames. A lot of people aren't running Seething Flames. I love it. I think it's really, really good, actually, and I'll explain why in a little bit. Then we've got all of the Searing Light stuff, turning everything into Radiant Damage. The entire Radiant Damage package. That's all triggering Searing Light. I'll get to that in a minute as well. On the class side, Fading Light is completely OP. It's completely busted. The shields that you get from this thing are just completely insane. It's been, it's a Spiteful week, and I've just been standing next to Spitefuls, getting autoed, and, like, not having to go anywhere because of all the shielding. And then, of course, Divine Resonance. Divine Toll, but Divine Resonance in particular, when you combo it with Blessed Champion, is a really, really good combo. And I want to talk about that as well, because it's really important to kind of highlight that stuff. So let's jump into the video footage. Right, so here we go. This is into the dungeon. I'm just going to show you some stuff from the Algothar Academy that I did. 17. I've done some 18s and 19s, I think, since then, but we'll just start with this. This is just, you know, the AoE damage. And I actually did an Algothar Academy, like, I don't know, earlier in the week. And I ended up pulling so much damage because the guy pulled, like, the entire room. Let me move my camera here. The guy pulled, like, the entire room. And I ended up doing, like, 300k or something. It was really insane. But we still spiked to 200k here. The AoE damage is just really, really smooth. And the Holy Power generation in particular is just absolutely insane. When you take this Templar Strikes build, every one of your Crusader Strikes, of course, gets split into two. So instead of only having 2 charges of Crusader Strike that each generate 1 Holy Power for 2 Holy Power in total, you're getting multiple, you're getting, you know, essentially 4 Crusader Strikes that each generate 1 Holy Power, but it only, you know, they do way more damage, and they're worth pressing, which is really, really good. So I make my Judgment and my Blade of Justice generate 2 Holy Power each, but I only get 1 charge of them. But that's okay, because I want to spend my GCDs pressing Templar Strikes, because it does so much AoE damage with Blessed Champion. Crusader Strike and Judgment hit 4 additional targets, right? So that's really good. And, of course, it generates Holy Power. So the third reason, actually, why you want Templar Strikes is because it does Radiant damage. We'll talk about that in a second. But the Holy Power generation across the board, very, very smooth now for Ret Paladin in Mythic Plus, in both single target and AoE. Like, you never run out of Holy Power ever. Like, it's just, you always have tons of it. It's never an issue whatsoever. So that feels really good. The general build that I'm running here is a Searing Light focused build. It's a Radiant damage build. So what that means is you've got things like Burning Crusade, which makes your Divine Storm, your Consecration, they do Radiant damage now. And then your Templar Strikes, like I was talking about a second ago, which replaces Crusader Strikes, it does Radiant damage. Wake of Ashes does Radiant damage. Your Divine Storm, as I probably said that a second ago, your main AoE spender does Radiant damage. While these things are all doing Radiant damage, they are proccing Searing Light, which will call down a big pillar of damage, and it puts a Consecration on the ground as well. So almost everything that you're doing, except for Judgment, basically, everything else does Radiant damage when you're in AoE. So it has a really, really high chance to call down that Searing Light damage. It's very, very good. The other big part of this build is 1 Minute Wings. And you can see right here, I've got 1 Minute Wings rolling. And you can always pair it up with Final Reckoning. And I took the talent that Executioner's Will makes Final Reckoning last 4 seconds longer. So Final Reckoning lasts for 16 seconds, by the way. It's a very long time. And I have 1 Minute Wings. Watch my damage on this boss fight. We're only doing 45k single target. And then the AoE comes in and boom, we're just spiking up to like 120k. It just goes crazy. Like, the AoE damage on this is absolutely insane. I am aware as well that I had my Devo aura on instead of having Ret aura on, and that was a big mistake, obviously. I didn't mean to have Devo aura on. I had tanked a dungeon right before this one, and so I had Devo aura on for that, and I forgot to change it back, so that was just my fault. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. But yeah, the damage from 1 minute wings plus Final Reckoning is really, really good. You get that 20% extra crit. And obviously the damage and healing goes up. It just feels really good. Even though you're not getting the haste from Crusade, you don't need it. You just don't need it. And being able to pair up Final Reckoning with wings every single time is so incredibly strong. I really like it a lot. So yeah, the Radiant damage package is super good. Basically, all your abilities are here to proc that Searing Light passive. And it also includes the Wake of Ashes with Seething Flames, which is the making Wake of Ashes lash out 2 extra times. A lot of people don't like this and don't take it, and they think that it's just like bad. But I promise you it's actually really good. I've run like maybe 15 dungeons this week so far. And I've run dungeons with Seething Flames and without it. And I'm telling you, with Seething Flames, not only does it feel better to play, it feels so fun just going like whoop, whoop, whoop. Like the extra swooshes from Wake of Ashes feels so good. But on top of that, it just does lots of damage. It does lots of damage anyway. And it has 3 chances to proc Searing Light. That's the big thing. It does Radiant damage 3 times, right? 3 swings. Radiant, Radiant, Radiant. Those all have a chance to proc Searing Light. So you have 3 procs for Searing Light on Wake of Ashes. Every single time you press your Templar strikes, you can proc Searing Light. Every time you press Blade of Justice, it's going to put a Consecration down. Not every time, but almost every time. And therefore, you might get a Searing Light proc. Every Divine Storm might give you a Searing Light proc. It's just really good to get all these procs, and it makes your Searing Light damage go way, way up. So that's the build in a nutshell in terms of the offensive power. You're basically trying to generate as much holy power as possible with your Templar strikes. Blade of Justice and Judgment are a little bit less important, okay? In terms of generating holy power. They're important for other reasons. I'll get to that in a minute. Defensives and healing-wise, you are just, it's absolutely insane now. We are perfectly fine. You have consistent healing from the Flash of Light. Every 6 seconds, you can Flash of Light, basically, for a big heal. You have your Shield of Vengeance. You also have Divine Protection now. You still have Bubble. You still have Bop. And the Fading Light shields, as I mentioned, are absolutely crazy. They're doing, like, so much healing for me on the class side of the tree. It's like every time you use your generators. Sorry, anytime you're in Blessing of Dusk. And when you get Blessing of Dusk, happens, of course, when you spend your Holy Power spending ability. So you just have your shields going all the time. You get these little shields from Fading Light. It's so strong. I promise you, over the course of the dungeon, I'll show you at the end of this, it ends up being a ton of my healing. So really, really enjoyed that. And then, of course, my Divine Storm is healing everybody, which is so good for the group because of Lightforge Blessing. Divine Storm heals you and up to 4 nearby allies for 3% of their maximum life every time you press it. It ends up being a ridiculous amount of healing. It's huge. It's absolutely huge, and I love having that support kind of mechanism for my team. I really enjoy that. On top of that, yeah, the main gameplay loop, I'm going to talk about this in a second. I'll just show you the boss damage from Croth, and then I'll go into what the main gameplay loop kind of consists of. It's very important, actually, to talk about that. So I get auto here at the beginning. Not a big deal. Here's our single target damage. This is the one part of the build that I think I'm not very good at yet, and maybe I'm just not playing correctly. Because my single target damage is lower. You can see I'm doing about 73k, and these other guys are spiking at like 110, 90k. I don't have a lot of gear yet. Like, my weapon is in this dungeon is only like 405 item level. I'm only 404 item level total. So I imagine that this is actually going to go up to a reasonable number once I get to like 415. I think that this could go... My single target damage could probably go up to like 70k if I'm playing it correctly, which to me would be actually totally acceptable. I would be fine with that. But you can see right now I'm definitely lacking behind on the single target damage, but that's okay. Yeah, here's my Fading Light shield. So I don't have any defensives up for this next AoE. This is the 3rd Deafening Screech here. Watch my health. You can see at the top part of my health, it's a little bit white because I've got a shield. That's just from Fading Light. Watch how much damage I take. I basically took no damage here because I had like a 75, 80k shield from Fading Light. That's how strong that sucker is. I just built it up by using my spenders. I didn't have any defensives to use there. So that, on top of the fact that you get Shield of Vengeance and Divine Protection, is insane. It's really, really strong. We get to the end here. Here's the final sort of number. You can see the other two guys in their DPS settled down a little bit. They're hovering over 60k. The Warlock's doing really well, almost 70k. I think I could get my damage up past 50k, like up to close to 70k probably if I had more gear. So that's something that I'm going to work on there. But that's it for. Let me just jump back to the gameplay here, and we'll get the camera back. So let me talk about the rotation really quickly. This is pretty important. So I want to talk about exactly what you need to do, the one thing you need to look out for when you're playing Ret Paladin now, and that is Judgment. So Judgment, of course, adds a debuff to enemies that says that they take 20% more damage, okay, from your next Holy Power spending ability. Because of Blessed Champion, Judgment hits 5 targets now, which means you get 5 of these Judgment debuffs on enemies, okay? You can see here I throw Judgment, it goes to all those enemies. You can see the debuff right there. The next time I use my Divine Storm, it's going to do a bunch of extra damage, 20% more damage on my Divine Storm, okay? That's really important to understand. Why? Because of Divine Resonance. When I throw a Divine Toll, it throws Judgment to 5 nearby targets, and then they get the Judgment debuff, of course, but Divine Resonance says that I throw Judgment 3 more times over the next 15 seconds. You get 3 more Judgments. All of those extra Judgments that you get bonuses from Blessed Champion. They go AoE. So it means in the AoE rotation, you need to be very, very careful that you don't throw an additional Judgment when your Divine Resonance Judgment is about to go through. Okay, so here's what this looks like. You're going to press Divine Toll, and then you're going to press Divine Storm. And then you're going to hold on your Judgment, right off the bat, because you don't want to overlap Judgments. Okay? So we go... Oh, I can't grab it. Here we go. We're going to go Divine Toll into my Divine Storm, and then I'm going to press Crusading Strikes, because another Judgment is coming. There's that second Judgment. Then I press Divine Storm. Then I press my own Judgment, and then I press Divine Storm, and then another Judgment is coming. So I press it, I consume it, then another Judgment is coming. Right now, there's my third Judgment. Then I throw my own Judgment again. Then I throw Divine Storm again. Do you see what happened there? So you have to make sure that you maximize the Divine Resonance Judgments that are coming through, because they're going to go AoE. They're going to hit everybody for you, which means you don't want to overlap it. So I would suggest throw out Divine Toll, okay? Then use the Divine Storm right away. Then do other abilities. Get your Blade of Justice down, press Templar Strikes, and then wait for that second Judgment from the first Judgment from Divine Resonance to go out. Then press Divine Storm. Then throw out your own Judgment and quickly press Divine Storm. Then you're going to get a Divine Resonance Judgment. Then press Divine Storm and just work on that cadence. You want to work on that. Don't ever override Judgments because it'll end up looking like this. Let me show you. You're going to throw out Divine Storm or Divine Toll. You do the first this, and then I'm going to throw my own Judgment, and then I'm going to try to press my Divine Storm, but it throws another Judgment, and so they just end up overriding each other, and you don't want to do that. That's a huge waste of your Divine Resonance proc because you have it with Blessed Champion. So just keep that in mind. Here's the damage overall on our Algathar Academy and the healing overall on our Algathar Academy. Once again, here's the Fading Light Shields. Look at the Fading Light Shields. Absolutely outrageous. Lightforge Blessing is my Divine Storm healing. Judgment of the Light is also really, really good because I'm casting so many Judgments. They're hitting so many different targets. So it's actually a lot of healing from there as well. We did about 85k overall. Divine Storm, my Primordial Stones, was 9% of my damage. Pretty good. But Divine Storm is there. My Wake of Ashes. Here's the triple Wake of Ashes for you. 5.7% plus basically 6%. We'll call it 6% plus 5.5%. That's 11.5% of my damage just because I took Seething Flames. The Seething Flames damage is 6% of my damage. This talent down here gives me 6% more damage. So for those of you guys who think Seething Flames is awful, it's not. I promise you. It's actually very, very good. 6% more damage from one talent point is very good. And then, of course, the Truth Wakes dot. And then here's the Searing Light procs. All the different abilities that we have that do radiant damage, they are all procking this Searing Light proc down here, which of course is this one down on the bottom. So I really love this build. I will link it for you down below. If you want to try it out, please go try it out. I think it's a ton of fun. The only talent I would say that you could actually mess around with a little bit here would be Heart of the Crusader. You can actually get rid of this and take another talent in the top here. Maybe take extra long wings. Maybe take extra damage on Final Verdict. You could take Vanguard of Justice. I hate spending 4 holy power per ability. I really don't like it at all, so I'm never going to take this thing. But you could spec into something else if you want to. I just chose to take Heart of the Crusader. That's the one point that you could move around if you want to, guys. So let me know what you think in the comments down below. What do you think about Ret Paladin so far? I am loving it. It is blasting. It is so much fun right now. So this is the build that I would go for if you want to do Mythic Plus AoE stuff. This is the build I think you should run. It's going to serve you really, really well in Mythic Plus. So that's it for me. Thank you guys so much again for watching. I love you all. I will see you in the next one.